Hey everyone, welcome back. Yesterday we did the addition property of equality, and today we're going to do the division property of equality. The division property of equality says that if you divide the exact same number by both sides of an equation, then you would also get an equal equation. For example, if I were to take, let's get a pen, if I were to take 6 and have that equal 6, I hope you like my 6's. If I were to divide both of these by the exact same number, I would get an equal equation. So let's go with, I want to divide both sides by 3. So we'll divide by 3. And I'll divide by 3. If I divide both sides by 3, then I'm going to get the answer 2 on this side and 2 on this side. And hopefully everyone realizes that 2 still equals 2. And that's the division property of equality. Let's see how we can use this. To solve this very basic problem, 3x equals 6, I'm hoping everyone knows the answer is 2, because 3 times 2 is 6. But let's find out how we can solve that algebraically using the division property of equality. If we look at this equation, the picture is that I've got 1x, but I've got 2x's, and I've got 3x's. I hope you notice that all these x's equals 3x. And these 3x's equal 6. So, if I divide the 6 into 3 separate groups, much like I have divided the 3x into 3 separate groups, each of these groups would equal 2. Just like each of these groups equaled x. So to be able to get the x by itself, all I have to do is eliminate all the other x's. And if I do that, all I have to do is eliminate all the other 2's. And each x would equal the 2. What did I do here? Well, I took the 3x and I divided it into 3 pieces so I could get each piece equaling an x. And what did I do to the 6? Well, I divided it into 3 groups also so I could get each group of 2. And what we found was that each x equaled a 2. And so thus, that's how we use the division property of equality to help us solve this very basic math problem. Let's take a look and see how we can do it with other problems. If we had the scale like we had with the addition property of equality, I think you'll notice that this is the exact same problem. We've got 3 x's and we've got 2, 4, 6. If we want to get each x by itself, all we have to be able to do here is divide it into 3 groups. And I hope what you notice is that each x is on this side, and all of these groups equal 2. So, if we divide by 3 and divide by 3, we'd get each of the x's equals a 2. So there's many ways to be able to solve this. You'll notice that I have 3x equals 21. There's 3 x's. This is known as the box method. Each box would contain an x because there's 3 x's. And each box would contain a 7 because 3 7's equals 21. Based on this, we could say that there are 3 x's and 3 7's, and each x would equal 7. So you're going to find there's lots of ways to be able to use the division property of equality to help us be able to solve this type of problem. Here's a great one where we have 3x equals to 21, and if I divide both sides by 3, I get the x by itself, and then 21 divided by 3 gets me 7. I could multiply both sides by a third. Once again, that would get me down to 1x. And that also gets me x equals 7. Or I could use the box method. So the rule for this is that to solve a one-step multiplication equation, divide both sides of an equation by an identical number that is on the same side of the equation as the variable. Or you can multiply both sides by the reciprocal if you wanted to do that. Mr. Thomas, does this, do I still follow the same rule if I have decimals? Absolutely. So in order to get the variable isolated, I have 4 x's, so I would have to divide it into 4 groups. Now if I divide one side into 4 groups, I have to divide the other side into 4 groups. And what does that get me? It gets me 1x, and then I just have to be able to do the division. Never be afraid to do the work off to the side. And you get your answer. And does this work with fractions as well? Absolutely, we've been working on that in class as well. I do apologize, I don't have a screen for that, but I will work on getting you one. And that's it for the division property of equality. Tomorrow, or the next one, will be the multiplication property of equality. Have a good night. Give me an email if you have any questions.